You're not going to be a dictator, are you? I said, no, 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 other than day one.
Donald Trump has successfully moved the Overton window in a way that is as dangerous for the future of democracy in this country as anything else.
This is what Vout and Project 2025 wanted.
He's daring Tom Homan to come and arrest him. Should he do it? I would do it if I were Tom. I think it's great.
They control the Congress, they control the White House, and they control the courts. And so, of course, they're massively overreaching. And yes, they are getting away with it right now.
This is clearly a man who cannot tolerate criticism of him or what he does, which is exactly what authoritarianism is all about.
The New York Times is just as fake as CNN and MSDNC. They really are the enemy of the people.
What he is saying, rather bluntly, if you stand up to Donald Trump, he will punish you.
Protesters in Philadelphia, state capitals in California, Minnesota, Michigan, Texas, Wisconsin, Indiana, and others showed up to oppose Trump, Musk, and Project 2025.
US and President Trump has overseen America's largest military parade in decades as nationwide protests take place against his leadership.
Demonstrations are happening right across the United States today to oppose the Trump administration.
Two visions of America. On a day the country's deepening divide was there for all the world to see.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the show. I am Jeff Waldorf, and you're listening to Logically Left, right here, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, all the usual suspects. Big corporate media, of course, big corporate media companies, I should say, platforms that are probably censoring me. You know, I wouldn't be shocked if left-wing news is being suppressed. I mean, just look at the view counts, right, that I've had. I mean, all year. They have not been great. So I like, for example, I'm looking at one where I posted up yesterday about Tom Homan literally taking a bag of cash. 300 views. So disaster. So yeah, we're probably being throttled or suppressed in some way. The algorithm does not like progressive news. So if you haven't already, please share. Very important. If you see a video from me or any of your favorite creators, please share them. Okay. Again, I don't blame all of that on the algorithms or anything like that. But I think it does have a significant part to play, especially considering how some of my videos do absolutely fantastic. And then a lot of them just don't. So, I don't know. YouTube 2025, kind of broken, I would say. Definitely favoring right-wing creators over everyone else. With that said, I got some stories today. Fun. Or I should say not so fun. That's the other thing. News, not fun anymore. Okay, news, terrible. The country, kind of terrible right now. And so, yeah, we got a lot of stuff to talk about that is bad, including Trump and RFK Jr.'s recent declaration that pregnant women shouldn't be taking Tylenol. Yeah, so there's that. And anti-vaxxer groups, by the way, very unhappy about this entire thing. Who knew? We have that. We have the Supreme Court that continues to inch us closer and closer towards dictatorship. Lovely. Yeah, great. And one of their recent decisions, many of their recent decisions, but one of the most recent ones, allowing the firing of an FTC member, even though it's clearly illegal. Supreme Court's like, don't care. Dictatorship. Allowing Trump to basically hire and fire anyone he wants for any reason. You're supposed to be able to fire people for cause, yes, like if they can't do their job or whatever. not because of their political affiliation, but that's exactly what has happened. Again, I don't think enough people are talking about how disastrous that can be. And then you might have noticed that we didn't get raptured today. What? We were supposed to get raptured today? Apparently, yes. Apparently. But it didn't happen. Shocker, right? What? No. Come on. The rapture. What happened to the rapture? I was supposed to be raptured. You know, I wanted to be sucked up into the Holy Hoover. Okay?
I want to go to space.
Well, I don't know if it's space, but nope, never happened. So I'm going to talk about that because that's a little bit of fun. And then we have school board cancel culture happening, of course, over a misinterpreted post about gardening. So right-wing cancel culture hitting people again, because of course it is. I didn't know that. Yeah, I know. I just found out about it yesterday. I was like, wait a minute, we're supposed to be raptured today? Says who? Well, I'll give you all the details. It's rapture. I don't know, man.
Whoopsie. Florida's ground zero for the nursing home. I mean, we're God's waiting room.
Maybe that's what it was supposed to have. We're supposed to be in Florida first to wait for it and then get sucked up. See, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Okay. It's so bizarre, this entire thing, entire situation. But you know, whatever. Stupid. Okay. Let's move on here. Let's go into the first story here. Anti-vaxxers versus Trump and RFK Jr. This entire situation is giving me a headache. All right. Appears that President Donald Trump and his Director of Health and Human Services, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., have pissed off just about everybody, okay, with their huge announcement about the causes of autism or something. So, on Monday evening, they announced that the use of Tylenol, also known as acetaminophen or paracetamol, during pregnancy is linked to the fetus developing autism or other, I guess, forms of neurodivergence. I don't know, but here we go. Here's Donald Trump struggling to even say the word acetaminophen.
The FDA will be notifying physicians that the use of well, let's see how we say that. Acetaminophen. Is that okay? Which is basically commonly known as Tylenol, during pregnancy can be associated with a very increased risk of autism. So taking Tylenol is not good. All right, I'll say it. It's not good.
You know what's not good? Just the utter lack of science, okay, in this administration. It makes my head hurt. I'm going to need a Tylenol here, okay? We're all going to need it. We're all going to need it. Not good. Not good taking a Tylenol. Tylenol. Did I say it right? Oh, my God. No. So immediately after this proclamation, experts were like, that is both wrong and it is also stupid. Okay? Stupid. I mean, what else can you say about that? It's stupid. We have a president that's a moron. Okay? An embarrassing buffoon. Exactly. And so, let me give you some of what they're saying. Okay? For example, the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists pointed out that there was no clear evidence linking the use of acetaminophen to autism or other risks to fetal development. That's it. Now, there are other pain and fever reducing medications like ibuprofen and aspirin that do carry some risks during pregnancy. Yes, but acetaminophen is the only over-the-counter drug that is approved to treat fever during pregnancy. But apparently, Trump and RFK Jr. do not want pregnant women to be comfortable during their pregnancies. Just suffer through it. That's what they said. Suffer through it. You know what? I actually keep having this feeling that they are using the threat of autism, okay, to try to remove eventually pregnant women from the workforce. And then all women. That's it. I mean, it's not like there isn't a goal for some of the people on the right to remove women from the workforce, okay? To make them all be stay-at-home mothers and wives, you know? I mean, we know that that's the case. We know that this is the case, okay? It's, again, maybe it's a furtherance of that goal. I have no idea, all right? Now, but there's some irony here. Untreated fever during pregnancies is associated with some pretty terrible things. You know, miscarriages, for example, fetal organ malformations, cardiovascular complications, and here's the most ironic thing of all. Fever during pregnancy is even related to autism. Oops. Yeah. Let me just let Tim Pool take it away here.
Whoopsie.
I know some of you probably think it's the toasty guy from Mortal Kombat. Sounds about the same. Okay, but seriously. Wow. Just wow. This is according to a 2021 statement from the Society of Maternal Fetal Medicine. Okay, there you go. Look, what do they have here? Why are they making this connection? Correlation without causation. That's it. That's it. It's like saying, you know, oh, you know that people who ate ice cream got into car accidents? Yes, but that doesn't mean the ice cream causes the car accident. That's what they're doing here. They're doing correlation without causation. That's it. That's it. Now, I want to get to the rage here because the anti-vaxxers are not happy with this, okay? The anti-vaxxers. We know all the experts are like rolling their eyes and going, are you effing serious about this? So dumb. But the anti-vaxxers also mad, okay? In fact, here's the anti-vax group Georgia Coalition for Vaccine Choice, writing in a Facebook post on Monday morning that, quote, we didn't wait 20 years for Bobby to finally speak and then get served Tylenol as an answer. If that's all we hear, is that the end? Not Tamarisol? Not aluminum? Not MMR? Not Hep B? Not the insane schedule pushed after pharma got liability protection? Are we supposed to just forget? I don't know. Maybe you should take some Tylenol. Come back later. No, man. Oh. Children Health Defense, by the way. That's the anti-vax group that was founded by Kennedy himself. They even got in on this, okay? They retweeted a post on Monday about parents who falsely blame vaccines for their children's neurological condition with the statement, this was not caused by Tylenol. Well, I mean, I could agree with that part, at least. Funny enough, in the past, in past years, CHD claimed that kids' usage of Tylenol early in life may be a cause, but there's no links there, okay? Disproven, just like all of their crackpot theories. But there's more rage. In an interview on Steve Bannon's podcast, War Room, on Monday, CHD President Mary Holland said, quote, today may be something of a sideshow. No, a sideshow? Gee, what a surprise. But then added, Tylenol is not the primary cause. No, No, now, of course, she goes on to blame the vaccines, despite the fact that there has been exhaustive research into any links between vaccines and autism with, no surprise, zero results, okay, that link the two things together. It's just absolutely ridiculous, okay? Steve Bannon said, this Tylenol thing stinks to high heaven. Again, broken clocks everywhere. All right, broken clocks. Look, all of this is, I mean, the whole autism vaccines push, whatever. You know what it is? It's eugenics. That's what it is. People with autism have always existed. They always will exist. And, you know, whenever, and I love it whenever somebody, you know, from the older generation specifically, say, "Wow, we didn't have this back in our day." Really? Because, like, Grandpa had this massive rock and train collection, and I know that's a bit of a trope, but you know, in what he says that he's completely normal, never heard of it. No, yeah, he had it. You totally have it, and then, you know what? That's fine. One of the reasons, or I should say the main reason that more people are diagnosed now than they were before is that we're just better at catching it. We're better at recognizing the signs. That's all. And by the way, the reason for catching it is not to try to eradicate it. It's to be able to give them the help and support that they might need to be successful. Again, if they need it, because there are a lot of autistic people who are completely functional, okay? And look, you know, a lot of them, by the way, masked, okay? A lot of them mask. But now, with more acceptance, they don't mask as often, okay? Or at all, and are able to be themselves. And again, are completely functional and totally fine. Don't really need all that much help, okay? If any at all. And are just a little different. That's it. That's it. And look, for the people who do need a little bit of help, some of them might just benefit extremely well from a little bit of simple accommodation. That can make a world of difference. And what do I mean by accommodation? For example, allowing people to wear noise-canceling headphones at work or school so that they're not overwhelmed by too much noise. How about allowing work from home? Giving people maybe a little bit of extra time to complete tasks. That kind of stuff. Not hard to do. It's not all that difficult to allow those kinds of simple accommodation. Okay? But and that's why I feel like this push to get rid of autism, cure autism or whatever, is really just a push to get rid of autistic people. That's the reality. And why would you want to get rid of those people? Because they can't. There are neurotypicals out there that cannot stand to give any accommodation, support, or understanding towards autistic people. Okay? That's it. They're an inconvenience to neurotypicals. That's it. That's how they feel about them. You're an inconvenience to me, so I want to get rid of you. I mean, it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible how we treat people who are different on the neurodivergence spectrum. You know? Absolutely horrific. And so this is another part of that. We now have a political administration that is practicing eugenics. And it's absolutely disgusting. It's completely messed up. Okay. And now, as far as this announcement is concerned, it's absolutely ridiculous. It really shows you how dumb they are. Okay. This administration is stupid. I keep saying it because it keeps being true.
You idiot.
Okay. And again, Ilhan Omar was absolutely right on Saturday when she said that this administration proves that we're being led by idiots. Truer words have never been spoken. Okay. They've had a total of 7 memorials for Charlie Kirk. No other American person has ever had more, not even presidents, The party of death grifting. Well, yeah. Sounds like a Lysol and bleach to cure COVID-19 type of thing. Don't forget, shoving a light bulb in your butt. I'm not the one who came up with that idea. Trump himself said, well, we got to get a light in there. We'll shine it, inside. It killed the germs. Oh, my God. I can't some days. Stupid. The most unqualified administration in human history of any nation. I don't think we've had dumber. At least not that I know of. And the George W. Bush administration was pretty dumb. Or at least George W. Bush was. Man. It's just disastrous. My sister's autistic and my two best friends have brothers on the spectrum too. It's just a massive slap in the face to those who have autism and the families dealing with it. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, let's move on. Let's talk about something serious, and that is the Supreme Court. Oh boy. I've had tacos more supreme than this court. Let's just say that. On Monday, the Heritage Foundation-owned Supreme Court knocked down one of the last few remaining barriers to Donald Trump being able to consolidate power in the executive branch. In a not-so-shocking 6-3 vote, the conservative supermajority managed to undo a 90-plus-year-old precedent in the case Trump v. Slaughter. Well, he's slaughtering something, the Constitution, by allowing Trump to fire any an FTC commissioner without any sort of cause. Monday's decision came with no public explanation for their decision to allow Trump to wield this control over the executive branch and be able to fire anyone, okay, and to replace them with his lackeys. That's been the plan that was in Project 2025. Now, Justice Elena Kagan wrote in her dissent that the court's Republican appointees have elected to, quote, reshape the nation's separation of powers in Trump's favor. And they're doing so without respecting the process that differentiates legal judgments from bare flexes of partisan muscle. So, basically, this administration, the Supreme Court specifically, has allowed Trump to take power away from Congress when it comes to the firing of political appointees. So this court case comes after Trump fired Rebecca Slaughter from the Federal Trade Commission back in March. Now, why did he fire her? Because she's a Democrat. That's it. There was no good cause, because the president can fire someone for good cause. For example, if they can't do their job, okay? Good cause, a corruption scandal, perhaps. But simply being a Democrat is not good cause to fire someone from the Federal Trade Commission or from any post, all right? That's it, from any of these agencies. Now, another Democratic commissioner, Alvaro M. Bedoya, was also fired, meaning that there are no Democrats on the Federal Trade Commission anymore. No one. None. Okay? There are 3 Republicans and 2 empty seats. That's it. That's it. This is patently illegal, but they don't care. They don't care. Okay? The people who are on that board now, okay, or running the Federal Trade Commission, are nothing but Trump loyalists. They're little lapdogs. Okay? And that's it. The agency is now effectively an arm of Trump, the administration. And they are supposed to enforce antitrust law, but they won't. Okay? Now, what they will do is likely weaponize against any company that may choose to openly oppose the current regime. Okay? Now, they could also go the other way and reward companies that bend the knee to Donald Trump, of which there are many, by the way. There are many. There are many. Without any Democrats on the board, there's no longer any check on their power. It is completely and utterly partisan. And they've already used it to punish their enemies. For instance, the agency launched a baseless investigation into Media Matters for America. Why? Well, they had truthfully informed companies that some of their ads had appeared alongside of neo-Nazi propaganda. Now, I remember back on YouTube, there was the adpocalypse, right? Which had happened when there were ads for, like, what was it? Islamic terror groups and things like that, neo-Nazis, white supremacists, that were showing up on some of their ads on YouTube, and they got really, really mad over it, and then took it out on everybody. Okay, we were demonetized. Everyone was demonetized, basically. And so that's what they were doing. But the government wasn't involved in that. Okay, now you had the government going after and investigating Media Matters for just pointing out, like, hey, on X, you got some neo-Nazi white supremacist ads next to ads for toothpaste. I'm pretty sure the company would want to know, based on their reaction to Adpocalypse, that their ads are being featured next to this type of content, and they should be able to have the freedom, the ability to control where their ads go. They don't want to be associated with white nationalism or being a neo-Nazi, and so we're going to give these companies the freedom to be able to put their ads on everything, Hey, and if they want to be associated with that, there would be nothing stopping them there, but we're just letting them know. We're just letting them know that this is where their ads are ending up, okay? Now, of course, most companies don't like having their ads appear next to that type of content. So they pulled a lot of them from Twitter/X, okay? So they weren't comfortable with that. Now that, unfortunately for Elon Musk, cost him money. And he wasn't happy about that. He was very angry about that. And he complained. And that's it. And so Donald Trump and the right wing, they were also not happy about that. They actually seem to believe that companies should be forced to advertise on platforms like X or Gab or places like that. Take the most Nazi-filled platform, okay? And they think, oh yeah, no, the advertisers should be forced to advertise on that. I want these companies to have their ads on these platforms right next to, racist neo-Nazi content. Even though the company does not want that at all. And so that's what they're doing. By investigating Media Matters, they're taking revenge on Media Matters for simply doing a real report. For simply pointing things out. That, hey, the company, that should make you rather uncomfortable, right? Do you really want your ads next to this neo-Nazi stuff? And they're like, no, not comfortable. But they're shooting the messenger. That's what they're doing. And so the FTC obviously was not intended to be used in this way to investigate political opponents of the right, to be weaponized, to be politicized like this, which is why it was originally barred, okay, from having the president fire commissioners without any good reason. That's it. I mean, being a Democrat is not a good reason to fire someone, but unfortunately, we have an illegitimate activist Supreme Court that does not agree. That's it. They're pretty determined to allow Donald Trump to fire competent people and to replace them with political hacks. And so they're looking at the possibility of overturning this 1935 court decision called Humphrey's Executor. Back then, in 1935, the court unanimously ruled that these appointees have protection against presidential removal for partisan reasons. You have to have a reason to remove these people, okay? And those protections did not run afoul of the Constitution, of the president's powers in the executive branch. He can remove people with good reason. Good reason. This is not a good reason. Slaughter was fired for being a Democrat. Simple as that. Now, Kagan, in her dissenting opinion, was joined by the other two liberals in the court and talked about the shadow docket. That docket, she wrote, should never be used, as it has been this year, to permit what our own precedent bars. Still more, it should not be used, as it also has been, to transfer government authority from Congress to the president, and thus to reshape the nation's separation of powers, which is exactly what they're doing. They're shredding the Constitution, and they're trying to make Donald Trump into a king. That's it. I mean, unitary executive theory is just that. It destroys the separation of powers and effectively makes Congress and the courts, which are already subservient to Donald Trump, just that. Congress would join them too. We're supposed to have three co-equal branches of the government. And you know, I say that, okay, because that's what it's supposed to be. But remember, a lot of the people that I'm talking about here don't even understand what the three branches are, okay? They don't understand that the Congress and the courts are not supposed to work for the president. They're supposed to be a check on presidential power. That's it. They're supposed to be a check. A co-equal branch. What does co-equal mean? It means they can override the president if they need to. It's not an easy thing to do. And the president himself also has powers to override Congress with a veto. But that veto can also be over. Again, it's all supposed to be equal branches having checks over each other so that no one branch is more powerful than the other. And this Supreme Court is just completely doing away with all of that. Trying to make Trump into a king. And I remember back in the day when they used to complain the right about, oh, Obama, you know, with all of his executive orders, King Obama. Obama. And yet there they are trying to make King Trump. That's the reality here. That's the reality. Okay. Look, there is one exception though, to be fair. The Federal Reserve, so far, Trump and this Supreme Court has not taken the side of Donald Trump yet. Now, there's a reason for that. If Donald Trump gained control of the Federal Reserve, which is supposed to be quasi-independent, right? That would mean the end of the dollar. It would be. I mean, look, there's a reason that we are the reserve currency in the world, okay? At least the stated reason. And that is the more or less independence of the Federal Reserve, okay? That they act independently to the president, to the whims of the president of the United States, and that they're supposed to look at, okay, what is the best for the economy, all right? And mainly what's best for big business, but that's just my opinion on that. But here's the thing. Trump is trying to eliminate that quasi-independence and make it fully subservient to him. And that's not a good thing, okay? Because if they lose that independence, you know what's going to happen? Other countries are just going to stop using the dollar as the reserve currency of the world. And you know what? If that happens, our economy's gone. That's it. Right? We're gone. It's gone.
Bing, 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 boom. It's gone.
That's it. And so I hope they realize that if they let Trump have his way on this one, that it would completely destroy the nation's economy, perhaps even the world economy, and the country, if they, allow him to get away with all this. That said, I do not have a lot of hope. They're already letting him do everything else to destroy the country. He is, look, because of them, Trump has been able to dismantle a lot of the guardrails that have kept us from becoming an authoritarian dictatorship. So, look, if Democrats ever get control of the White House again, that's a big if, because the Democratic Party has some problems too. But if they do, they need to get serious about packing the court. I mean, Biden should have done it. He should have done it. He didn't. But, they should. And pack the court with people who, not with political hacks, like what, Trump has done, but with people who actually believe in democracy. I don't care if they're Republicans. Obviously, I prefer progressives. But there are, to be fair, still Republicans out there, or people who used to be Republicans or now independents that, yes, are conservative in their personal beliefs, but are not okay with authoritarianism. Okay? This court is okay with authoritarianism. What I want for the court is people there who care about protecting rule of law, who will follow established precedent, and most importantly, will follow the Constitution and will treat it as the living document that it is. I don't think that's too much to ask for them to just literally do their jobs and interpret the law and not be a panel of activist judges from the Heritage Foundation. But that's exactly what they are right now. And that's exactly why, if we ever do get a chance, we need to have someone, a president, that is willing to pack the court and return it to where it should have been, to what its original purpose was, to be a separate co-equal branch of the government that interprets the Constitution, interprets the laws based on the Constitution. Exactly. It is the Supreme Rubber Stamp Court. Okay. So let's go from that depressing news to the Rapture. Only on this show. Only on this show. Now, I don't know if you were supposed to notice, but apparently the Rapture was supposed to happen today. And it didn't. Okay. At least I didn't notice anything. Maybe you did. I don't know. But the Rapture. Here we go. Now, where did this come from? Well, according to South African pastor Joshua Malakela, he said Jesus himself personally revealed to him that the date of his return would be September 23rd, 2025, in a divine vision. Divine vision. What kind of vision are we talking about? Are we talking about like Jesus on toast, or like in a cloud or something? Or did he call him up on his holy iPhone? I don't know. But apparently some of his followers were so serious about this, as we've seen throughout history, by the way, that they were selling all their stuff to get prepared for the Holy Hoover, okay, to suck them up into everlasting joy or something. Okay. Now, here's the thing. This whole Rapture thing that was supposed to happen today gained momentum through TikTok under the hashtag Rapture Talk. Oh boy. Which was centered around Lakela's assertion that the rapture will align with the Jewish holiday of Rosh Hashanah. Okay. But, hey, look, to be fair, Rosh Hashanah apparently falls on both September 23rd and 24th. So perhaps the rapture will be tomorrow. Oh, man. And boy, would I have egg on my face on this one. Oh, my goodness. But here's what he said about 14 days ago. The rapture is upon us. Whether you are ready or not ready, the rapture in 14 days from now is going to take place. Very, very specific, by the way. There's a storm brewing right now, and it's dark. No human being on this earth is ready for what's coming. I'm 1,000,000,000% sure. I began to hear literally in my ear the sound of the trumpet. Sound of the trumpet. Then how do you sleep? How do you focus? How do you get work done if you're literally hearing the trumpet at all times? At all times. Is that what happens? Do you hear the trumpet all the time? Or do you just hear it once and then you're like, there was the trumpet. Okay. I don't know. It's so bizarre. Okay. Obviously, the rapture is not a real thing. Okay. Jesus, I'm sorry, he's not going to take the holy Hoover to the planet and suck up the faithful. Okay. That term's not even in the Bible. All right. Now, there are some people that have based this concept off their own interpretations of certain biblical passages. But here's the thing about interpretations. They can be wrong. I know, shocker, right? Especially, look, if you're basing your predictions off a 2,000-year-old book written in several different languages, there is bound to be a little confusion sometimes, you know? You might get things a little bit wrong now and then. I know. Weird, right? Look, being an atheist myself, I don't actually believe in any of this stuff. But I also think I'm a bit of an anomaly within the atheist crowd, because I don't actually hate religion or religious people. And I'm not saying everybody who's an atheist does, right? What I do hate, though, is religion being used as a weapon, being used as a cudgel, okay, to beat people down with, like the LGBTQ community, for example. I hate that, right? I hate when people use religion to deny gay and trans people equal rights under human law, okay? As far as I know, biblical law and human law are actually not supposed to be the same, okay? That's just, I guess maybe that's my interpretation of it. I don't know. Look, weirdly, me defending religion here, I think there are good things. Why do I think that? Well, I think that there's community. I think there is compassion. And I do like that there are some rules out there that tell people not to be a dick. I mean, for example, don't covet your neighbor's wife. That seems about right. Okay. Seems like a nice thing to do, not to, try to go after your neighbor's lady. All right. How about not stealing from people? That's a good one. How about you treating the immigrant like you would treat a member of your own family? That would be, I'm totally on board with all that. Great. Makes sense to me. In fact, that stuff, some of those rules do make more sense to me than the mystical crap. Like the whole rapture thing, which again, not even in the Bible. Now, we've seen this all throughout history, where you have people that are like, oh, the end is nigh. It's coming. The end of the world. It's on its way. It's going to happen right now. We're in the time of tribulations. Yeah, that's, people have said that plenty of times before, when things were actually much worse than they were right now. And I'll be honest, things do kind of suck. All right. Donald Trump is president of the United States. He's ruining the country. Things kind of suck here. There's regional conflicts. There's, for example, Israel is currently wiping out and doing an ethnic cleansing, a genocide of the people in Gaza. Innocent people, Palestinians. I mean, that's horrifying. That's happening. And there's so many different places, okay, where bad things are happening. And not only that, but look, you got climate change that's doing a number on us. Doing a number on us already. But here's the thing about that. a lot of these problems that we are facing as a society, as a world, have been caused by human beings. Now, people can fix those things. Yes, human beings can cause problems created by other human beings. I know. And we can do that if we actually get together and we start working on solutions. We do not need Jesus to come save us from our own problems. Pretty sure that not even the Bible says that, right? That we're supposed to take care of our own problems, okay, and solve them ourselves. And we could do that, by the way, if we just put aside our differences and work together in common cause. You know, we could solve some of these conflicts, and we can work on mitigating the effects of climate change. We can work on all these different regional conflicts and issues of poverty and starvation and all that stuff. We can do that if we just work together. We actually try. Don't need a savior, and you definitely don't need a rapture. Okay, because again, all these problems can be solved if we work together to solve them. So that's it. That's the reality here. And I wish more people would understand that, and I wish more people would realize that and stop looking to these things to solve their problems and actually work together to try to solve them ourselves. Because we can do that. Okay, anyway, let's go to cancel culture. Yeah, I know, we go from our fun Rapture story to right-wing cancel culture. I know. I might want to check myself because I'm showing way too much heart and common sense. I have that, I know, I do that sometimes. And every time, just about every time I get let down. When will I ever learn? When will I ever learn? Stupid. Okay. A Pennsylvania school board member has been forced to step down from her job after an online post that she made got her in trouble. So this is an example of right-wing cancel culture in action. Okay. Now, what happened? Well, you had a Homer Center School District Board member, Misty Hunt, posting a message on social media. Now, the message in question simply said, "One down, hundreds to go." Uh-oh. Now, she happened to have posted that message the same day that Charlie Kirk had been murdered. So there were people out there who believed that she was celebrating his death, and they decided to complain to the school board. That school board ended up launching an investigation into her statements. Now, what happened? Well, according to Hunt, she had meant for that initial online post to be accompanied by a video of milkweed seed pods flying out of her car window. So she's throwing them out the window. Okay. One down, hundreds to go. Now, what went wrong? Apparently her iPhone, had failed to attach that video. So now, obviously, she was on the road at the time, and maybe the internet wasn't exactly the most, I don't know, it wasn't exactly the best reception, I guess, for her phone. And the result of that video not loading caused a freak out. Complete and total outrage. Okay. Social media freak out. Now, Hunt wrote in a subsequent social media post, quote, "I've always been outspoken, and I own my BS. I'm a big fan of free speech, and I enact it quite often. But let me tell you, this is not one of those times, okay? This is not one of those times where my BS, where I was, going on my BS, okay?" She said it was only about butterflies and creating a space for those butterflies. The end. Gardening is my life. And I tried to share it with all of you. I won't be making that mistake again. Yikes. She added, my heart goes out to the Kirk family. No one should grow up without a parent. So for the gross misunderstanding, I apologize to all of you. So now, could I see something like this happening? Absolutely. Yeah. And look, it doesn't even have to be, my video didn't attach, right? You could just post something completely unrelated to the political news of the day, and people will jump up your ass over it. Okay? That's social media for you. And so, yeah, that happens all the time. Maybe they're thinking about you talking about something else. Or, for example, a post that's not related to the current president of the United States, that people will think, oh, why are you talking about Donald Trump like that? President of the United States. You need to have some respect for the office. It's like, dude, I'm not talking about him. Okay. This is one of the age-old issues with social media. Okay. And look, to be fair, because of what happened with Charlie Kirk, people have been extra sensitive online. I get that. There was a man that was murdered. Tensions are high. Political violence. The threat of political violence. I get all that. Now, what didn't help is the president and his allies throwing gas on the fire, immediately blaming the left before we even knew anything. A transgender person, right? It must have been a transgender leftist. You don't even know who did it. You don't even have a suspect in custody. What are you doing? What are you talking about? Look, we know now that the 22-year-old alleged shooter wasn't really affiliated with any political party or political movement, not member of the DSA, not a registered Republican, didn't donate to Donald Trump, didn't work with the DSA, didn't work with anyone, really. Like a lot of mass shooters, turns out that his political stances are kind of incoherent from what we know right now. Now, there is one thing that could be described as a motive, and that it's basically when he was said he was tired of Charlie Kirk spreading hate. Okay. Spreading hate about who? I don't know. I mean, whatever group, right? Now, I do know for sure that shooting somebody does not solve hate. Obviously, it usually tends to make things worse, especially for outgroups like transgender people. But anyway, that said, Hunt, after, or I should say, despite her explanation, still got a lot of backlash here, and even some support. So there you go. But that wasn't enough to save her position on the school board. She was ultimately removed from the negotiations committee, according to a report in The Guardian. After she was removed from there, she decided to step down from her duties for the immediate future. This appears to be an example of cancel culture being waged by the far right in the wake of Charlie Kirk's murder. And she's not the only one. Dozens of people lost their jobs or have been suspended or disciplined over social media posts about Charlie Kirk and his death. Look, they got Jimmy Kimmel. But Jimmy Kimmel now back, okay, because there was a huge backlash over that. A lot of people canceling their Disney Plus subscriptions and saying, hey, we believe in free speech. What Jimmy Kimmel said wasn't really all that bad. And so, put him back. And they did. They relented to that pressure. It's kind of like boycotts do actually work. I know. Crazy, right? Yeah. Maybe that's one of the reasons they don't want people to boycott Israel. Interesting. Now, that said, there are people that lost their jobs after, posting about Charlie Kirk. For example, the U.S. Secret Service had placed an employee on leave earlier this month after writing in a Facebook post that Charlie Kirk had, quote, spewed hate and racism on a show. That's true. He did. That doesn't mean he deserved to get shot for it. No, of course not. Of course not. But let's be very clear. He did say a lot of terrible and controversial things. That's just a fact. And you even look up some of those things, right? And I know Some people, it's not controversial at all. Him saying things about like black people not having the brain processing power to be in their jobs and only replaced, and only took the job from or took a spot from a white person. If you think that's not controversial or racist, you might be racist. I'm just saying. But anyway, that said, this person added at the end of the day, you answer to God and speak things into existence. You can only circumvent karma. She doesn't leave. All right. Now there's more. There's a FEMA employee reported by Fox News that was placed on administrative leave over an Instagram post describing Kirk as the, quote, literal racist, homophobe, misogynist. Again, it's kind of true. Now, a FEMA spokesperson told The Guardian that the employee's words are revolting and unconscionable. Remember, this is not saying that, you deserved what was happening to him. No, it's just saying that this guy's literal racist, homophobe, misogynist, okay? But, yeah, FEMA said that the employee was immediately placed on administrative leave. We expect all public servants to uphold the highest standard of professionalism. Really? That's not what our government's doing. Our government is not at all holding up any standards of professionalism. All you have to do is just play a clip of Donald Trump talking about pretty much anything, and that shatters that whole thing. Professionalism, respect, and integrity. Where was that when he was blaming the radical left for Charlie Kirk's murder, even though, once again, we didn't even have any information or even a shooter? So, I'm just saying. But anyway, what about freedom of speech? Okay, freedom of speech. I mean, FEMA is a government agency, and the government is not supposed to punish people for saying things that the government doesn't like. What about that? Oh, you also had MSNBC, by the way, firing their own senior political analyst, Matthew Dowd, after he suggested on air that Kirk's own divisive rhetoric might have contributed to the shooting. Apparently, they didn't like that. You had Washington Post columnist Karen Adia, who was also fired over social media posts saying, for example, they were speaking out against political violence. Wait a minute. So you're speaking out against the violence, you still get fired? But also spoke about racial double standards and America's apathy towards guns, of which Charlie Kirk was killed by a gun. Not by words, but by a gun. But again, there's a lot of examples here, but basically what I'm saying here is that this is cancel culture. This is what the right claimed to be against. This is one of the big things that Charlie Kirk himself claimed to be against. Would Charlie be happy with this? With all the censorship? People being fired? I don't know. Maybe not. Look, a lot of these people claim to be for free speech, but apparently only for speech that does not hurt their feelings. Okay? They could say anything they wanted about the murder of George Floyd, by the way, but if anyone said anything bad or maybe just even quoted Charlie Kirk, then they've decided that that person should be immediately canceled. It does seem like a bit of a double standard here, doesn't it? And I know they're saying, as a result of that, well, you don't understand, that's the left's fault. The left made this happen. You're just reaping what you sowed. Oh, well, then I guess at the end of the day, you never really did believe in free speech or having principles, and we're just crying about being called out for what's pretty bad behavior. Okay, then, well, I guess at least we know. A university professor was just arrested for domestic terrorism for having anti-fascist philosophy. There's going to be a lot of people that they're going to falsely arrest for that. I mean, yeah, we have come to becoming, we have become an authoritarian society now, a police state that is, and it's pretty fucked up. It's pretty messed up. So here we are. you know, again, I could say that we did warn you that this kind of stuff was going to happen, but nobody believed us, and we just had TDS. But now, well, we were right. And the left has always been right about these things, and yet, every single time, nobody listens to us. No one listens. And now, unfortunately, we're going to be going through it and probably going to be target number one for trying to warn people. Okay. Thoughts on Kathy Hochul finally endorsing Mamdani? Believes she fears a challenge from Lieutenant Governor Antonio Delgado, who is running to her left on universal health care, child care, taxing the rich, and housing. I mean, I think it's good that Hochul is endorsing Mamdani. Funny enough, you also have Kamala Harris, who's endorsing Mamdani. Again, super late on all of that stuff. But and I kind of love Harris's non-committal part of it. I'm endorsing the Democrat in the race. Yeah. The way to go. Way to go, Harris. Be as non-committal as you can. The establishment never learns. They're doing the right thing by endorsing him, yes, but they should have been way ahead of that game. Way ahead of that game. And they've only really kind of hurt themselves in the process. All right, well, there you go. I don't know about you guys, but I've been prepping for the worst. Yeah, well, I think we all have been. I mean, anybody who's been paying attention knows that things were planning to get pretty bad. All right. Well, that's all I got for y'all today. Thank you for watching the show. Please like and share the stream if you haven't already. Very important you do so. Also, please sign up to become a patron or a channel member. Need your help more than ever to sustain the show in these dark times. So please help out, become a patron, patreon.com/jeffwaldorf, or become a channel member if you can, hitting the join button below as we continue to navigate post-constitutional, post-freedom America. So we'll cover it for as long as we can. As long as I can afford to do so, and as long as the powers that be allow me to continue. So, all right. Everybody, thank you. Appreciate you all. Love you. And remember, change begins with you. Join me tomorrow as I broadcast on This Space over on their This Space YouTube channel, thisspace.tv. So check that out. And of course, I will be posting the video clips here on our YouTube channel and on our Facebook channel and on Twitch. So, all right, everybody. See you hopefully over on This Space.